good morning, good afternoon. Sorry I'm a little bit late. What's up, everyone? Folks are already in the chat. Sorry to keep you waiting, guys. I hope you're all very well. I hope you all had a wonderful, restful, blessed Holy Week. It's been a pretty quiet one for us. Let us know in the chat what you were up to. Make everyone jealous. I've seen all the pictures of folks in beautiful destinations, beaches. Hey, Apple, what is up? You know, I'm talking about you, right? That's right. Check out Apple's TikTok if you guys wanna feel pretty bad about yeah, pretty jealous about these wonderful places around the Philippines. The vast majority of which, like, I have not traveled very much around the Philippines. It's embarrassing. What's up, David Lee? Yeah. What is up, guys? Thanks for checking in. What's up, brother Gab? Kumusta? Hello, everyone. And massive shout out to what's up, brother Francis Powell? Now I was just gonna say, what's up, Tin Top? How's it going? Yes. Big shout out to all the Hexicans in the house, all the Pulsicans, all the Texans, of course, represented here this evening, morning, afternoon. Fallen Comrade, what is up, man? Haven't seen you here before. Good to see you. Hey. Yeah, guys, we're going to do something special this evening. So we're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on LinkedIn and YouTube. And inspired by brother Jet A. Mercado, who has a massive following on Facebook. If you're not following him yet, go do that. Especially if you're if you're Pinoy living abroad and parating nagpapapremyo yan. And so that's what inspired this. So let's give this a try. Okay, we're gonna try to run a competition here. Let's get the word out. About this stream. So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm not sure how you can do this on YouTube, but definitely on LinkedIn and Facebook, we can all do this. So let's okay, this is the first time I'm doing this. Show me some grace. Hopefully it works out the way I envisioned. So share the stream and just tag as many folks as you can, and then tomorrow we'll announce the winner, person that's tagged the most people, right? Or 3 people. Let's make it the top 3, right? Across platforms. We'll choose folks and we will give them some prizes. That's right. Wow, cool, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. Cool. So good to see all the internationals here, all the guys from the States, from Texan, brother David Lee. Man, I miss you, brother. It's been a while since we've chatted, so looking forward to our next one. Francis Powell, and Tin Top, always bringing the alpha. That was awesome, by the way, all the insights that you gave at that stream with McB. I'm so sorry that the audio was so messed up. I haven't gotten around to uploading the version with the fixed audio. I will do that very soon. What is up, guys? Hey, Pastora Paz. Kumusta po? Hey. That's right. Oh, check out who is in the chat. Our next Ophirian ambassador, Panther Cat. If you guys are not following Panther Cat yet, give him a follow, man. Hasn't been very active recently, but he's gonna be definitely making some waves again very, very soon. 30,000 followers on Instagram, man. Insane. Hey, 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 what is up? Okay, guys, so we're going to be talking about Ophir this evening. I'm going to try to explain things in a way that even no coiners, or so no coiners for those who are no coiners and who aren't that familiar with the crypto world. That's what no coiners are, right? People who haven't really dabbled in crypto yet. And so I understand how crypto can really seem quite overwhelming for people when they first get into it. So um, I'm going to try to keep things as concise as possible, so that everyone can get it. And we'll have another stream where we do a deep dive, on tokenomics. But I will just cover the basics here about Ophir, and why I believe that, or why we believe that it is unique, and just has much, much, much potential, and how it really is going to make a massive impact and be a blessing to so many. Let's do it. That's right. All right. Folks are starting to tag. Yeah, that's right. Share and tag away, and those who make the most noise, magpapapremyo po tayo. That's right. We are going to give away some prizes. Hey, Pastor Zeni. Good to see you. Melchor, what is up? Good evening. That's right, Panther Cat. Busy times ahead. Absolutely. Cool. All right, guys. So let us get into the meat and potatoes, as Crypto Heartbeat likes to say. Wow, Apple is like on a roll, man. Oh, Texan Tailgate in the house. What is up? What is up? Thanks for having me on recently. You guys are doing an amazing job, by the way. Like, really. Guys, give Texan Tailgate a follow if you haven't already. Lots of great insights, awesome alpha, great guests that they've been having on there as well. If you haven't, hopefully Forrest will give us a few more performances at some point. Man, look at somebody is bent on winning these prizes. Boom. That's right. Hit the like button as well, guys. Please do. Oh, brother Ellie, what is up? Kumusta? Whew, comments are on fire. Prizes. Wow. Giving out prizes is the way, apparently. Look at this. Insane. Okay, anyways, let us get into the topic at hand. So, Ophir Crypto. Just to give you guys a little bit more context of how the whole thing came about. And I talked about this on Matt's stream, right? Crypto Heartbeat stream. Ophir came about in a very special way, because it was a real step of faith that I took leaving the family business. So I was working as the head of strategic planning and marketing at our family business, which is a network of car dealerships here in the Philippines. And when I was there, one of the things I came across this book by a guy named Salim Ismail called Exponential Organizations. And it talks about basically how all of these technologies, and this, mind you, this was back in 2016 or 2017 when the book was released anyways. But it was talking about how all of these technologies are advancing at an exponential rate, and how things are advancing so much faster than people realize. So each technology, um, isolated on its own, is advancing at a tremendous speed. But then when you consider the synergy of these technologies, then it's just mind blowing how quickly things are moving. And so that opened my eyes to what's possible. And being a Christian, I've always been very passionate about our God being infinitely powerful, omnipotent. And so over and over again, the scriptures talk about how nothing is impossible with God. And that's something that I've always been very, very passionate about. In fact, if you speak with people, like even in the workplace, and uh, if you, I always had trouble with people telling me that things were impossible. It really it would always rub me the wrong way, mainly because, my sense is that something is only impossible if God wills it, uh, wills for it not to happen, because He can make anything happen, right? And the scriptures say that nothing is impossible with God. And so, from a spiritual biblical vantage point, that's that really resonated with me, and is very foundational to who I am. But then, from a very uh, natural, worldly, real world standpoint, not that that's not the real world, but you get what I mean, from just from my own research about what's happening in the world and looking into these exponential technologies, all the more it just opened to my eyes to what's possible. And so, you take those two together, right? And then you're just like charged to the hilt. And like in my mind, it's like we are so limited in um, our perceptions of the vast majority of people are so um, just have such a low view of what is actually possible, even just from a biological standpoint. Oh, so this is another thing that I was looking into. I guess you can lump it into the exponential technologies to a certain extent, but peak performance is also something that I was very passionate about and did a lot of research on. And so the potential of the human body and the human mind, it's insane. So you take all of these things together, right? And if you if your convictions are are really that firm on these fronts, then I mean you have no choice but to reach out for the impossible. I think, and that was my, that's where I was. It was like I was looking around myself and just so frustrated that people were not seeing what I was seeing, and had such a difficulty believing the things that I believed. And so, um, having gone through the climax of the pandemic, and uh, just putting myself out there, meeting a lot of people, trying to help the situation whatever way that I could, and seeing the lack, right, and the struggles out there, it just became so apparent to me that these problems can be solved. I mean, they can be solved, and the problem is not one of a lack of resources. The problem is gatekeeping. The problem is greed, right? And the problem is also short-sightedness and a lack of faith, and a lack of the conviction to believe that all things really are possible, right? And so, anyway, so I took this massive step of faith, left the family business, and just started researching like mad, and just looked into all sorts of things. Eventually, landed on blockchain, and then it became very clear to me that there was nowhere else, no other space, no other industry, nothing that could allow for a person to achieve their full economic potential and to bring in the resources, as much resources in such a short span of time as would be needed to make a massive impact, right? And to help all of these struggling churches, all of these, um, um, it was horrible. Like through the pandemic, just seeing what people were going through, especially those who were, the rich were not really that badly affected, but those who didn't have very much, those who have to work to eat. I mean, yeah, people were starving, right? Um, and so blockchain technology, like cryptocurrency, like once I took um, that step of once I immersed myself and I got it and the penny dropped, I was like, I need to go all in here. Like there's yeah, this is clearly what I need to focus on. And so I took that step of faith, left the family business. Um, Long story short, I met Matt, Crypto Heartbeat, and reached out. It was a cold call, and everything just came together in such a powerful way. Um, Trust had been established with a number of leaders within the evangelical world here in the Philippines, so that we had those inroads, because it's very difficult to get into churches with crypto because so many churches have been scammed. That's another thing that's extremely unfortunate, and it's something that we're very passionate about as a community. Helping these churches to learn about financial literacy and security, and when it comes to crypto and even investing in general. And anyway, um, so all of those things, the stars had aligned in so many ways, and the idea for Ophir came up. And so that was about maybe a year ago. And so this has been it's something that we've been working on for about how long, when was it? It was March of last year. So yeah, just about a year. And the Lord just started opening massive doors, and here we are now, um, a third through our donation phase, and things are ramping up. I mean, the next 2 months are going to be wild, guys. Like they will be wild. So Ophir Crypto, right? What is it? Let me share my screen here. In a couple of sentences, right? Let me read this out to you. Um, Ophir, or Ophir Crypto, is a decentralized endowment token or cryptocurrency created to empower grassroots churches through blockchain technology to serve their congregations and communities, many of whom are among the most vulnerable in the world. So, by donating and becoming a holder of Ophir, one is able to support churches in need while benefiting from the prosperity and financial freedom that only decentralized finance can provide. So, if you want to strip things down to the bare minimum, I would point out these three words: decentralized, endowment, and the empowering of grassroots churches. Because, in a nutshell, that is really what separates Ophir from all other cryptocurrencies, um, tokens, blockchain projects. The fact that it is decentralized, that word decentralized is thrown around very, very loosely. Everything is DeFi, especially here in the Philippines, right? Then that endowment function, it being the very first endowment smart contract on the blockchain. And we share this smart contract with the Texan token, just having a different narrative and a different distribution model as well. And finally, empowering grassroots churches, which is to do with that distribution model, right? With our model, we're going to be giving away these tokens to thousands of churches around the Philippines and the world as a completely free gift. And we're going to be educating them and providing them with guidance and support so that they can be the best stewards of these tokens. So let's talk about the name, right? Where did we get the name Ophir? Ophir was a real place in the ancient world. It was it was the place that Solomon got the best gold from in the ancient world, and he got that gold to create the temple, to make the temple of the Lord. Many believe that the Philippines is modern day Ophir. So there are research institutes. You can look up the God Culture YouTube channel. There are entire movements that have been built on this, and um, so it's something that resonates with both Filipinos and it coming up in the Bible, and and Christians as well, right? And of course, it's symbolic of abundance and prosperity. But what is why our tagline, right? Mining hearts of gold. So as a crypto community, we believe that the true gold of Ophir is more than just something material or financial freedom, or um, that it goes much deeper than that. And as Matt always talks about, Matt Crypto Heartbeat, a cryptocurrency is only as strong as its community. At the end of the day, it's really all about community. And so what is the true goal of Ophir? It is alignment of hearts and minds in pursuit of the Ophirian mission. What is that mission? To unlock abundance in order to fuel generosity towards those who are in need. And that's the reason that we've partnered with these churches. And our main partner, GEMAFEC, General Mariano Alvarez Fellowship of Evangelical Churches, is going to be the recipient of the donations that that are going to be sent through during this donation phase. And they emulate this in a very, very powerful way. So I built a very strong relationship with their chairman, Roy Gonzalez, as I was explaining earlier on, like during the pandemic, and when I was going out, working with various groups, trying to help the situation, and just make a difference, and help folks who were in need, and going through a heck of a lot of just lacking food, lacking medicine, unable to folks were unable to get treatment, right? I mean, it was mad. It was crazy. But Pastor Roy was out there in the front lines with many from GEMAFEC and many from his circles of pastors and leaders, and they were out there just serving, even at peril of at the risk of getting arrested, right? And so I saw firsthand like their hearts and their determination to serve others and to give, and that was something that I saw as well, like from many of these pastors, the generosity that they themselves don't have very much, and yet what they did have, the little that they did have, they would give, they would share, they would use to help those who were in need. And so we felt that they were the perfect partner for this, and of course this extends to the wider church as far as our giving away these tokens to these thousands of churches, particularly working at the grassroots level. I mean, we're open to any church partnering with us, but we really had a heart to help those who are independent, who aren't really that who don't have that much support, who are working in remote areas, who are working at the grassroots level. And GEMAFEC and Pastor Roy happened to have inroads to many organizations, literally with some of these organizations with thousands of churches, and it was through the relationship with Pastor Roy that we were able to to have those inroads, build those relationships with the leaders of these organizations. And so yeah, that is what, that is what the true goal of Ophir is, right? Our community coming together uh, in alignment, in agreement, according to these values, these principles of wanting to unlock abundance, wanting to serve, wanting um, to spread the wealth and be a blessing to those who are most in need, because we firmly believe that there is more than enough to go around. As I shared earlier on, I think that is one of the principles that we really, as a community, stand for. That we live in an abundant world. The solutions are there, and this abundance can be brought forth through community. Through community, through agreement, through um, consensus, and the blockchain is the perfect illustration of this. So, moving on to the distribution model that we're following. So there are three main innovations, I would say, that that Ophir crypto uh, that you find with Ophir crypto, right? The first is the endowment contract, as I mentioned before, that it is the very first time that somebody is actually able to. I'll go into this in a bit more detail, but it's the very first time that somebody is able to lock up their principal, stake their principal, and withdraw interest while leaving their principal stake. So that was a massive innovation that Crypto Heartbeat and his team came up with. Matt having a very strong background in the fundraising and nonprofit space. And then there's the distribution model, right? The donation phase that we have, which is kind of similar. I mean, the Texans and the Hexicans and the Pulsicans will be familiar with this, and obviously the Texans, because they followed a similar model as well, wherein so it's kind of like a sacrifice, but not, because everything that is raised, that is fundraised, goes to our official partner, or the official Ophir crypto partner, which is Gem Effect. And so nothing is sold, right? No tokens are sold. Tokens are just given over to the donors as a donation premium or donation incentive. So anyway, let me read what's on here. So to launch Ophir crypto, instead of an initial coin offering, a 90-day donation phase is being held, and we're a third of the way through that right now, wherein anyone from around the world will be able to donate crypto to the official Ophir partner, which is Gem Effect. And the accepted currencies are USDT, USDC, Ethereum, Hex, Texan, and SLP. So these donors, they will all receive Ophir crypto once Ophir is launched on the blockchain, which will be after the donation phase, so sometime in June. And all of these donors, given that this is the blockchain, we will be able to see the wallet addresses that were used to be able to send the donations over. And so those wallet addresses can be airdropped Ophir once Ophir is on the blockchain. But those Ophir tokens will have zero value when they're airdropped, and they will be the proportion that or the rate at which they're going to be sent to the donors will be 10,000 Ophir for every dollar that is donated. There are multipliers for the top donors, but I won't get into that now. Yeah, so a large portion of these donations will be used to facilitate the allocation of Ophir to thousands of churches. Obviously, they'll be used for Gem Effects, their usual activities, community service activities, feeding programs, church building programs, and whatnot. But a very large portion will be used to facilitate the allocation of Ophir to these thousands of churches, and for the building of technology hubs to further facilitate that across the country. And so this is a real innovation because this has never been done before. And, once again, like, just absolutely amazing, what Crypto Heartbeat and his team have designed, the way that they've come up with this, because I really believe that it is groundbreaking in so many ways, right? So you have the endowment, the innovation of the endowment smart contract, the innovation of this this donation phase, and then I thought there was a third one, but yeah. So those are the main innovations that are central to Ophir. And so now we can move on to the utility and security features. And so this is what this is mainly what sets Ophir apart, right? So let's so there are 5 points that I put down. So first of all, it's decentralized. Okay, and when I say decentralized, again, we mean this in a in a technical sense, not in the way that the vast majority of crypto talk about, not in the same way that the vast majority of crypto folk use that term, because DeFi is just thrown around like super loosely, and the vast majority of cryptos are not decentralized. So so with Ophir, what makes it decentralized? So Ophir, upon launch, it's a completely finished product. So taking inspiration from from Hex, from Richard Hart, and many of the principles that he's espoused for for years now. So Ophir is a completely finished product. Once it's launched, it cannot be changed. The code is completely immutable. So there are the technical way of explanation is that there are no admin keys, so the developers can't go back in there to change the code. It's permanent on the blockchain. It cannot be taken down. And so that sets it apart from like 99% of other cryptos out there. The vast majority of cryptocurrencies have admin keys. And so no matter how how much they claim that these things are decentralized, the fact of the matter is that your assets are still in the founders or developers' hands. They can actually, the way that it was explained, I like the way that somebody explained it. They said that having admin keys to a project is kind of like you going to the bank and to deposit money, and they give you forms and contract, and then in the small print it says that they they have the power to change your bank balance whenever they see fit. It's kind of the same thing. When you have God mode admin keys, like, you have complete control over the smart contract. You can do whatever it is you want. You can change things. And yes, it's used as a common, because you kind of like software wherein these projects claim that they're going to be adding various features, and so but what's not talked about is the risk that's involved in that. So I'm not saying that that all projects with admin keys are crap or whatever, right? Or I'm not saying that, but the point is that there is risk, and people should be aware of that. And the reason that everybody was like, that Bitcoin was and is all the rage is that supposedly that risk with Bitcoin, right, of changing the code. I mean, you need 51% of all miners of hash rate right? To be able to change the code. And so it's extremely difficult, next to impossible, although Bitcoin uh, has been hacked, and not people don't really like to talk about that. But anyways, we won't get into that. The point is that Ophir is real DeFi, truly decentralized. So whatever is programmed into it, right, that yield curve that you benefit from, um, just the way that it operates, none of that can change. No one has access. In fact, even if, let's just say, worst case scenario from a regulatory standpoint, there are problems. Like the most that can be done, or that the regulators can do, is maybe have the founding team, like, take down all their socials, and take down the website, the front end, and just all superficial stuff. But the smart contract will still be operational on the blockchain, and anyone with a phone, anyone with internet, will still be able to engage with it, and anybody can still build, other anyone can build new front ends and start new social media pages. And so on the enforcement side of things, it's next to impossible to stop. But even from a regulatory standpoint, I think that there are many safeguards, and this is the genius of Matt and his team. They're coming up with the donation phase, and just the way that they've pieced all of this together, right? Just absolutely brilliant. And in the spectrum of, like, the centralization spectrum, right? If you have, like, on this side, projects that are extremely centralized, or, like, let's say, I don't know, the central banking digital currencies. On this end, like Ophir, Texan, Hex, they would be all the way on the decentralized side, past decentralized autonomous organizations, by the way, which still, there's some. I mean, the claim is that they're decentralized, but anyways, there's we can go into that. The point is that we're as decentralized can get, because nobody has control and no one can change the smart contract. And the second point, which is related, is that now people are able to benefit from what we call trustless yield. So what is trustless yield? So the term trustless, so this just means that the smart contract, those who stake their tokens, the way that the smart contract is designed, anyways, is that those who stake their tokens are able to benefit from the yield curve, and they're able to benefit from from interest without counterparty risk. So the term trustless just means that you don't have to trust people. You're essentially trusting code, and code will operate the way that it's designed. So traditional staking involves giving over custodianship of your tokens. You're basically handing over the keys for your crypto. You're giving over your tokens. You don't have control of your tokens. So you're I like how Richard Hart, when he talks about this, and he does this thing where you basically have to beg these guys to give you back your tokens. Pretty please, and because you're at their mercy, right? Whereas with Ophir, with Texan, I mean, it's the blockchain that you're dealing with. It's code, and code will do what it was programmed to do. So it will generate that yield, right? So trustless yield, that's what trustless yield is. Something that Richard Hart was, a real pioneer. Something that Richard Hart really pioneered, rather. So second point, the endowment feature. The very first endowment smart contract on the blockchain. So in addition to being able to benefit from that high yield curve, right, we start. So when you lock up your crypto, when you stake your Ophir, and the way that you would do that is you would have it in your MetaMask wallet. You go to the official website, and then you connect your wallet to just click on the button that connects your wallet to the site, and then you would just follow the instructions there, right? To stake your Ophir. You would benefit from a base rate of 5%, which goes up all the way to 236%. The maximum staking length is 22 years. So yeah, so you go on the website, follow the instructions, just click a couple of buttons that even shows you like what the yield curve will look like for the length of time that you've staked, and what that will translate to as far as the rewards that you will receive, the tokens that you will receive over time. And so once you've locked up your Ophir, the beauty of it is, because of this endowment feature, you can withdraw your rewards, and this is the first time that this is possible. Well, with Texan and with Ophir, so you can benefit from that yield curve, and you can actually withdraw your rewards whenever you please. There is no penalty for that. The only thing that happens is that the base rate, the reward rate or interest rate, it goes back down to the base rate. So like, let's say so you start off at 5%. Over the next few years, that rate will go up to 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's say you're at your third year. Let's say it's at, I don't know, 7%. I'm just making that up. I don't know exactly what it would be at. And then you decide to withdraw your rewards or your tokens. Then that base rate, that yield curve will just go back to its base rate of 5%, and will start over. But this gives an answer to this, provides a solution to, you can now have a perpetual flow of income without having to end your stake. And this benefits everyone, because then everybody is incentivized to hold. So an 87% average annual return for a maximum stake of 22 years. And that 22 years is not just, they were very deliberate about that, Matt and his team, about how they wanted this to be intergenerational. They want people to be thinking of blessing the next generation. Richard Hart was all about delayed gratification, which is absolutely brilliant, and a very, very, a principle that we really, really, really espouse and believe is, extremely important in life in general, right? Not just finances, but life in general. And Crypto Heartbeat and the rest of the team took this further by thinking about the next generation even. And so yeah, so powerful stuff. To have that kind of a mindset, it's something that we would all benefit from, and it would do our community. Like, I mean, imagine if everybody thought that way, right? About which is like the complete opposite of what's happening in this day and age, right? It's all about like, get yours now. It's like, right? So we're pushing for a very counterculture principle here, which is really quite central to, to Ophir, to Texan, to and even to the to the Hexicans, and a lot of the guys from those communities. So, number 3, distribution to thousands of grassroots churches. So if you'll recall, on the very first slide, so those first few sentences, I said that it was really just those 3 main points or words that one would need to focus on to explain the uniqueness of Ophir. So it was that it's decentralized, it's an endowment token or endowment cryptocurrency, and the final point was that it was designed to empower churches. And so That's to do with the distribution model that we're following. So it's going to be distributed to thousands of grassroots churches. The churches will be taught to stake their Ophir, and so they'll essentially be endowed, right? And that's what endowment is all about in the tradition, in TradFi or traditional finance. I mean, that's the way many nonprofits, many universities sustain themselves, through endowments. And so essentially what's going to be happening is we're giving these churches endowments, or rather something that mimics a traditional endowment, but in the crypto world, and in a manner that is decentralized, and that obviously has all of the benefits of cryptocurrency and blockchain, being borderless, being censorship resistant, and everything else that comes with blockchain technology. So, which is the next point that I put down. So, borderless tithing. So now that all of these churches are going to be custodians of Ophir and are going through the training to learn how to steward their Ophir, how to stake, how to scrape, they will now also be in a position to receive Ophir as tithes, as donations, as offerings from anywhere around the world, which is, obviously one of the main benefits of blockchain technology. That it's censorship resistant. Nobody can stop you from transacting, whether you're transacting with your next door neighbor or somebody on the opposite end of the world. It's the same process. And finally, the education that is going to be provided, education in financial literacy, exponential technologies, and security. So that is going to be provided to all of these churches. And so anybody who brings, so any economic energy, though, that comes in to Ophir will benefit all of these churches, given that they will be the major holders, right? The main holders of the vast majority of circulating supply. And so it's it's a massive win-win situation, in that is that the right way of putting it? I mean, you get to be a blessing to all of these, folks in dire circumstances, and really in need, and at the same time also enjoy the benefits of coming into a project at an early stage, and not just any project, a truly decentralized crypto, which we firmly believe is the future. I firmly believe that the DeFi is not going away. I mean, we know that blockchain is not going away. We know that all of the central banks are creating their own digital banking, their central banking digital currencies, right? I think it's 150 countries right now that are working on their CBDCs. And I think that is going to push people towards DeFi, because more and more people are waking up to the systems of control, to the kinds of abuses, potential abuses that could come with that kind of centralization, and with that sort of technology, where literally you will have governments who are now able to track every single thing that you spend on, and who will be able to decide what you spend on, and who will be able to take full control over your economic energy. And so more and more people are looking into alternatives, and I believe that decentralized finance is the primary alternative and the solution, right? So I think that, central banking digital currencies are not going to go away. I think that they will be implemented, but I do not believe that they're going to be able to stamp out DeFi. So I think that they're going to coexist. And I think that it is the future of finance. So point number 4, it's also deflationary. So there are 100 trillion tokens, max supply, not max, sorry, fixed supply. So there will never be more than 100 trillion tokens of Ophir. And when people end their stakes early, as I mentioned earlier on, right, you stake your Ophir for you set an amount of time. The maximum staking length is 22 years. So if you set your stake length to 22 years, but you pull out your principal before that, the maturity of your stake, then you will be penalized. So you're able to withdraw interest, your rewards, at any point in time. But if you pull out your principal before the time that you set, then you will get a penalty, and that penalty will be burnt out of supply forever, which then reduces the number of tokens in circulation, and which positively impacts price, obviously. And so there will be less and less Ophir tokens in existence over time. And finally, it is audited by CertiK, although the official audit for Ophir hasn't come out yet. Right now, if you click on the audit button on our website, it will take you to the Texan audit, smart contract audit. It's essentially the same smart contract, right? So we're just having to make a few minor changes, and we're going through that process right now. So very soon we will have the official Ophir smart contract audit by CertiK, and CertiK they're like the best in the world, the go-to folks for auditing code. Okay, so let's get into the chat for a bit. I've been talking for quite some time. Wow, we are on the 52nd minute mark. Okay, wow, folks are tagging away. Wow, man, people are bent on winning those prizes. Jeez, look at all these comments. I've found that's right, I've found the way forward. All right, these are all just tags. Ellie, tagging Sister Wendy from the Republic Cats. That's right. I hope to see you guys soon. If you guys haven't checked out the Republic Cats, by the way, awesome punk rock band from the Philippines. I'd say the band that represents Philippine punk rock. Like, these guys are legit. So check them out. Look them up, and you'll be seeing more of them very soon, because yeah, I'll leave it at that. definitely excited about synergies on that front. Hi, Miko. FGG, for God's glory. That's right. Amen to that. Good evening, Sister Car. That's right, brother David Lee. Texan Tailgate. Check them out if you haven't already. It is a crypto show hosted by David Lee, by Forrest, Hexyquin, and Immutable Steve. We're all, by the way, shout out to all those guys. I mean, thank you so much for the amazing work that you guys are doing for the community, for Texan, for Ophir as well. Really, thank you so very much, guys. Okay, folks are still tagging away. What is up, Thunder God in the house? Good to see you, man. Gee, so that's the problem with running these competitions now. Getting through these, my gosh, getting through these chats. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start skipping through. I can't go through all of these. There's no way I can go through all of these comments. Okay, that's right. Shout out to thank you, Miko. But shout out to, that's right, Love Eat Pray. If you haven't checked them out, check them out as well, for sure, man. Awesome band. Ellie is the singer of Love Eat Pray, and very few times that I've been brought to tears at gigs in a good way. But Ellie will do that, man. Like just the heart and the soul and the the hugot in Filipino. That's how you would say it, how you would put it, hugot. Okay, guys, I'm gonna be skipping through all of these tags. Everyone's like tagging away. Woo! All right, Bandang X. I'm not sure. I've probably seen these guys. I'm not sure. Handpicked by bro. Okay. Wow, these are all tags. Oh my gosh, guys. Whew. All right. Okay, let's get back to the slides. We're at the 55-minute mark, which is, man, that went by really, really fast. And if you guys have any questions, yeah, drop them in the chat. So we might, yeah, we'll go over an hour. This is an important stream. If you guys have any questions, it's important to me that I'm able to explain this in a way that even those without that much of a background in crypto, are able to follow. So please, if you have any questions, bring them up. Brother Hexcited in the house. Good to see you, man. Thanks so much for all the support. I've noted all of your ideas, brother. So, yeah, just hold on, and you will see them implemented very soon, my friend. That's right. Okay, let's see. Any questions here? Everyone is just it's all highs and hellos and tags galore. Helping while others complied and remained silent. Yeah, okay. So that's how far back this was when I was talking about the pandemic and how Gem Effect and many of these pastors were really out there and just and just serving and putting themselves out there, risking their own freedom, because at the time it was at risk of of being arrested. Pictures or short videos of those events would be cool to see here. Cool, man. Another taking that down, man. Got tons of notes from you, brother, from your inputs. Okay, wait. Let's jump back into this. Let's wrap this up. Then we can go back into the chat. Well, we're at the last slide, anyways. So, just an overview of the tokenomics, or how the smart contract works. So the token type, we're launching on the Ethereum blockchain, and that'll be, as I've said, at the end of the donation phase. So in June, and given that it's on the Ethereum blockchain, it will be an ERC20 token. But we are also going to be deploying on the PulseChain. So PulseChain is launching very, very soon. And if we do not catch the fork, so for those, again, who we're new to all of this, PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum. It's a hard fork of Ethereum, and think of it as like a like an operating system. So Ethereum has many projects that are built on it. It's a layer 1, and so you have very many crypto projects that were built on the Ethereum blockchain. It has its own blockchain, right? PulseChain will be a layer 1 as well. So it'll have its own blockchain. It's going to be a fork of Ethereum. But what's special about PulseChain is that they are copying the system state over. So what that means is all of the transactions, so all of the tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, if anyone has any ERC20s or in their MetaMask wallet, or in non-custodial wallets, they will be copied over onto the PulseChain. You will have a PulseChain version of them, and PulseChain is So it's essentially a copy of Ethereum with a number of improvements. But this is massive. This uh, whole concept of copying over the system state. Okay, it's the biggest. They're calling it the biggest airdrop in crypto ever, because you are going to get copies of all of your tokens, of all of your coins. Now, the value of those tokens. So let's use Ophir as an example, right? If we catch that, meaning if if Ophir launches before that fork, right, then that means you will get Ophir copied over from Ethereum onto PulseChain. And so you will have an Ethereum version or an ERC20 of Ophir on Ethereum, and you will have a PulseChain version or a PRC20 on PulseChain, which will have and PulseChain, some of the advantages that it has over Ethereum is that it will have much lower gas fees, much faster transaction speed. So there are a number of advantages, right? Now, the price, the dollar value or the market value of your tokens that are copied over will not be the same, right? That's dependent on supply and demand, on market forces. And so, one Ophir on Ethereum will not have the same dollar value as one Ophir on PulseChain. Now, there are many people who believe that the value will reach parity, that eventually it'll end up the same. Some even believe that PulseChain versions will be much more valuable, given that you have all of these advantages on the PulseChain of having much lower transaction fees and much higher transaction speeds. But we don't know, right? The point is that, or the point that I was making is that if we launch Ophir before PulseChain launches, then it will be automatically copied over. Everyone will get copies of their Ophir tokens onto the PulseChain. So they'll have Ethereum versions, and then they'll have PulseChain versions. Now, if we miss that fork, meaning if PulseChain launches before Ophir launches, right? So when that fork happens, if that fork happens before Ophir is actually on Ethereum, then it's not going to be copied over during the fork, right? But we will still be deploying the Ophir smart contract on the PulseChain. So even if we aren't able to catch that fork, we will do it manually, and so people will still be, doubling their bags essentially. Again, that's not to say that the market value will be the same, right? So, yeah, token type, blockchain, like I said, Ethereum and PulseChain. Interest slash yield, as I explained earlier on, you have a 5% base rate when you stake. It's the rewards start at 5%, and depending on how long you stake for, you will, that yield curve will go up, and it goes up highest towards the end. So towards closer to 22 years, that's when you really hit like pretty crazy interest rates of over 100, 200. The last year, I think it's 230%, 236%. But you would have to be staked for for the full 22 years to benefit from that. And that's also where this concept of staking ladders comes into play, which we will talk about very soon, because there are ways that you can be very strategic about how you stake. You don't have to stake everything that you have all at once, but you can create multiple stakes, and there are many strategies that you can pursue on this front, and we'll be talking about that more in time for sure. So again, as mentioned, total supply 100 trillion tokens. There will never be any more created. It's impossible to have inflation bugs or I I was talking earlier on about Bitcoin, right? And so 2018 and 2010 especially, there was a hack, and there were like billions of Bitcoin that were created out of thin air. No one wants to talk about this, right? And yeah, don't bring this up at a dinner party with Bitcoin maxis, because you will ruin the evening essentially. um, and so that's impossible with Ophir because there are no admin keys, right? So no one can tamper with the contract. No one can mint more Ophir out of thin air. It's never going to happen, right? So 100 trillion tokens, 96% of that, 96% of the 100 trillion, so 96 trillion, will be locked in the smart contract. The technical way that they put it is that this will be done through a variable. So these are not pre minted tokens. So that 96% or the 96 trillion can only be accessed through staking of the circulating supply, which is the remaining 4%. Right. So 96% locked, or 96 trillion locked into the smart contract, and then you have 4% or 4 trillion, which is where the allocation to all of these churches is going to come from. And the airdrops to the donors and the partners and the team, right? That comes from that 4% chunk. And the only way that 96% can be accessed, the 96% that is locked in the smart contract, is through staking. So, and the vast majority of this 4%, by the way, will be staked because we're going to be asking these churches, we're going to be teaching them to stake their Ophir. So it's just part of the process. We're requiring them to stake their Ophir. I mean, requiring that may be a too strong a word, in the sense that at the end of the day we don't have like total control, right? And then they could but if they're if folks understand, right, if they really get it and they understand, I mean, this why wouldn't you? Plus the value or the potential of the benefits that you'll gain from airdrops and this is something that we can talk about another time as well. But the ecosystem that is being built with Texan, with Ophir, with Freedom Swap, the DEX that Crypto Heartbeat and their team are building, with the Unifier token. So I won't explain all of that now, but the point is that there are going to be so many benefits for those who stake, especially those who stake for the maximum length. And this is bigger than just Ophir, right? There's a whole ecosystem at play here. And so so the vast majority of this 4%, I would venture to say maybe 70%, 75% will be staked, right? Which really benefits the community. And so, and all holders, everybody wins together by delaying gratification. So yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So that's how the 96% can be accessed. There's no other way. It's only through staking. When you stake, then the rewards come from that pool of 96% that's or 96 trillion that's locked in the smart contract. All right, guys, we are past the 1 hour mark. Let's get in the chat, see if there are any questions. So yeah, thanks for joining in this evening, guys. Share this one, spread the word. We want as many people to understand what this is all about, as possible. I firmly believe that we are on the cusp of something absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. I really think it is going to blow all of our minds, guys. We're going to look back at this and just be like, wow. I mean, that we were able to take part of this, be a part of this. And but my prayer is that as we work towards building this culture of wanting to be a blessing, of wanting to use this abundance, not gatekeeping, but spreading the wealth, being a blessing to those who are in need, channeling this abundance to people with hearts determined to serve others, right? I mean, that's really the goal, and I think we're going to see some amazing things over the next couple of years. But we're going to look back on this and be like, wow. I mean, just God's grace that we were where we were, the right place, the right time, to be able to capitalize on this. And let's capitalize on this. Let's make the most out of this. Let's milk this and be a blessing to as many people as possible and show the world what is possible when hearts and minds align on divine principles. Okay, let's just get through a few more comments in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the one before that, so I don't know what you were replying to. Or maybe I should look for it. Okay. Well, either way, what's up, brother Josh? Thanks for joining in. I hope you've been able to get some rest. I know it's been a very busy week for you. All right, comments. Blah blah blah. I mean comments. Sorry, I mean tags. Oh, here, this is just Pastora Paz talking about Pastor Roy and all that he did. Kapatid, tatay, nurse, at uncle ng marami. He was the brother, father, the nurse of so many people who were in need, is what she's saying during those times. All right. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions at all? Let me know, and we can tackle them. If not, we can wrap this up. There are just way too many comments for me to get through, guys. Here. So, again, Pastor Paz is saying that it was very difficult to get to them. They live in, they're from quite a remote area, and Pastor Roy made his way to, he found out what their situation was and really made the effort to help. So yeah. All right, scrolling through here just to see if there are any questions. So, oh, what's up, brother Robert? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much also for just, man, all the help that you've been giving, all the support. Really, really appreciate it. That's right. Not your keys, not your crypto. Exactly. 10 Top says 22 years. Deuces Club. I like that. Let's use that. That's right. Deuces Club. Nice. Okay. Let's read this comment from Excited. So, when Ophir users benefit from participating in Ophir, we will be able to help those that we know and have always known could benefit from a little help, but may not have been able to help up until now. Yeah, exactly. And that is so exciting. The prospect of that, right? That abundance coming to people who will use it wisely and who will be good stewards, and not just right? I mean, keep it for themselves or use it for to further control and further. Yeah. Anyways, we won't go down those rabbit holes tonight, but but the prospect of abundance coming to people who are bent on serving others and being generous. And yeah, I tip my hat really to the crypto heartbeat for. I mean, he always talks about how his calling in life is to unlock global generosity, and man, I mean, he's done just that. So yeah, and if you guys are not yet following, Crypto Heartbeat, Rags to Riches on YouTube, Texan Tailgate, who are the others? Yeah, make sure you follow all these guys. best places to learn about crypto. Nate Stakes as well. Hexray Vision, talking about staking earlier on. Guys, shout out to Hexray Vision. I mean, that guy he's the go-to guy if you want to learn about staking ladders and how to be strategic with your stakes. Oh, brother Dwayne, what is up? Kumusta? Good to see you here. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. There are just way too many comments. So God bless you guys. We'll announce the winners tomorrow night. Let's see how this goes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, hopefully it works out. But thank you all very much. Huge blessings out to all of you and your loved ones. And I will see you guys all tomorrow evening. God bless you all. FGG for God's glory. Peace out. Keep that fire burning.